What's going on, guys? Right, Mommy Teacher in the house, and I'm here with a new draft breakdown for you. We are back with the ADL, and the Speed Leagues are back, so of course, as I was super excited for these to come back, we are back as well. The Royal Board for Mummies are back as part of the ADL. I have missed the ADL, I'm not gonna lie. I do miss a lot of the people there. They're a cool bunch of people. So I'm really glad to be back playing with them again. And I'm also really glad that the first Speed League back is going to be the first Speed League that I won, which is Little Cup. So I have a bit of a special place for this. Little Cup is not something I've played a lot of, but I've done a fair bit of reading on it. We did the draft literally a few hours, or the draft finished a few hours ago at the time of recording this, so I've had a bit of time to digest what we drafted and stuff like that, and have a good look. So, we ended up 4th pick in the draft, which is not bad. 4th pick out of 8 is not usually ideal, but in all honesty, I think we got one of the strongest drafts on paper. There are definitely a couple of drafts I've got my eye on, but I feel like we picked up a really strong draft from that position. So, the first pick of our draft is going to be, in my opinion, one of the strongest Pokemon in Little Cup this generation, and that is Cufant. Now, Cufant is a really interesting Pokemon because it's got a very high HP stat and attack stat, but it also has the Sheer Force ability. And the Sheer Force ability is massive because there are a lot of moves that Cufant can actually get that really take advantage of it. It gets a lot of coverage moves to be able to hit a lot of the things that would normally switch in and check it. With it being a steel typing, it actually switches into Ferroseed no problem and stuff like that. So it's a really interesting Pokemon. It checks a lot of the other sort of premier Little Cup Pokemon relatively easy with its coverage moves. And of course, its bulk is not necessarily the best, but pair it up with an Eviolite and suddenly it feels a whole lot better. It does an awful lot of work. It's really bulky, really hard to take it down. It's a little slow, but honestly, speed tier is not the worst still in the world in Little Cup. I can easily support it, no problem. Anyway, and you'll see that with some of the rest of the team. Look, we actually drafted quite a bit of support for Cufant. But yeah, this is a very strong Pokemon. I think it's one of the best Pokemon in Gen 8 Little Cup. So I'm really happy that we picked it up in the 4th pick of the draft. So, next up is going to be Cottony, and I think a lot of you guys are probably, especially if you've been here for a while, will suddenly realise that this is a baby form of my ADL Season 2 team, where I had Whimsicott, Dracovish, and Copperajah. Well, we've got Cottony and Cufant, which I'm amazed this got back to me, I'm not going to lie. I think Cottony is very underrated, but it's a really interesting Pokemon. The only thing it doesn't get that Whimsicott does is Trick Room. It doesn't get U-Turn either, but it still runs Subseed really nicely. It does still get Tailwind, does get Defog as well. So it's a Defogger that's not weak to rocks, which is nice. Definitely gives Cottony a decent chance of being useful. Can be pretty good offensively as well. Does get quite a few coverage moves, so might be a scary one to think about. It'll definitely be versatile, but yeah, largely Tailwind support is pretty much what I drafted it for. But obviously, I'm pretty creative with my team, so I can generally use things in different ways as well. But yeah, really excited to bring these two in their baby forms back. Obviously, I really loved the combination when I drafted it in ADL Season 2. So having it back in baby form is pretty darn nice. Next up on the team is going to be Chinchou. Chinchou is actually a really nice pick here by virtue of the fact it's a very good choice scarf user in Little Cup. I've used Chinchou before in Little Cup draft, but I felt like it was worth picking him up again. It's decent HP, not the best physical defense in the world, but with Scarf into Volt Switch, we can safely Volt Switch into Cufant on pretty much most things, obviously except Ground-type Pokemon, obviously. But Ground-type Pokemon don't really appreciate Chinchou because the Scald is really going to hurt, not something that Ground-type Pokemon really appreciate. So Chinchou is a very cool little pickup here. Definitely starting to round up our cores nicely. I talk a lot about competitive cores in Draft League and how important I think it is to have them completed, especially with the Fairy Dragon Steel core. I think it's a very hard core to max out, and you'll notice that I had a bit of a struggle doing that as we get further into this draft. But we have our Fairy and our Steel, so we've almost got that core completed, and we have a Water and a Grass. So we've got our cores very strong already, but our next pick is actually going to round out the first of our cores, which is going to be Litten. Of course, most people will probably remember LT Grey from the first ADL Speed League that I won. So, yeah, Litten's back. Intimidate is very nice. Did actually get a very nice buff in this gen by getting access to Parting Shot, which is a very, very nice little utility move. Weakens the offensive pressure that the opponent might put on. It gets Fake Out still, does get a lot of coverage moves. It does actually hit surprisingly hard. This thing is kind of disgusting at its best. And it's also very, very fast, which does mean that I can abuse Tailwind with it very nicely. It does mean I can also start outspeeding any Choice Scarfers and stuff like that, which gives me a lot of utility and pressure. I think this is a very, very cool Pokemon. It does actually have a decent special attack set. I've not run Special Litten before, but you never know. I might run it this time. Who knows? We'll have to see. But it's definitely a consideration. Really, really strong Pokemon. Definitely really excited to bring it back. So, the next pick is kind of a pick that kind of put me in a bit of trouble, because obviously now I've got my Fire Water Grass, I'm looking for a Dragon type, and quite a few of the Dragons were starting to go, like Axew got picked, I think Goomy also got picked at this point as well, so we're sort of looking around, and we're looking left at basically Dino, which I don't mind Dino, but I'm not a huge fan of the Hustle ability, especially in Little Cup, so I tend to try and avoid that where possible. There's things like Dreepy was still up, Applin was still up, but Applin's kind of bad, it doesn't really get a lot of moves. So pretty much I picked up the basic dragon that was left, and that's Noibat. Now, Noibat, generally not really considered that strong a Pokemon. Doesn't get the best move pool in the world, doesn't really get set up. Does get Defog and U-Turn though, so it can actually have some relevance here. Does hit relatively okay, it's got a decent speed tier, but not the best. So it can be useful. We'll see if we can get some good use out of Noibat this season. When it does round out our calls quite nicely, it's relatively okay for us, but we'll have to see if I can really use it. Noibat typically is kind of weak, but we shall see. I think it might be alright, but we'll give it a go nonetheless. Alright, the next pick I think genuinely is one of the biggest mistakes in the tier list of the league, and that is Galarian Slowpoke. How this was so low down in the points value, I'm actually going to check how low it was on the tier list, because I don't remember. Yeah, this was 3 points, when the highest points league in this draft was 11. So, this blows my mind, honestly. This Pokemon is insane, especially on the physical side. This thing gets Belly Drum, gets things like Body Slam and stuff like that, and with the fact it's not a Water type, and the fact it's a Psychic type, makes it a little bit harder to hit it. But yeah, this thing is very, very strong. This thing, I believe, is actually currently banned in Little Cup. It's a PU tier Pokemon right now. So the fact that this was allowed and the fact this was very undervalued made it a very, very good value pick for me, and I was pretty damn excited to pick this thing up. Not gonna lie to you, because obviously as you're starting to patch up the rest of your team with what you need, having access to Pokemon like this is insane. It does also get moves like Amnesia, so even though its special defense is not that high, you know, run things like a Berry Juice if you need to. You can run Amnesia and make up for that lack of Spadef, and just Belly Drum up, no problem. It's kind of disgusting how strong this thing can actually be. It all depends on how well I can use it. Obviously, it's a slow Pokemon. I believe it does actually get Trick Room on its own. Pretty sure it does, because I know regular Slowpoke does. So, yeah. Trick Room, of course, gives me additional options for Kufant, which is always nice. Having more support for probably the biggest carry on this team is going to be Kufant, so we'll see what we can do with it. But I'm definitely excited to bring the options. It does mean that I can be good as a fast team and as a slow team, which is something I think is very important for this team, especially if you're running slow Pokemon like Kufant. So we shall see how brilliant we can use it. Keeping on the theme of using Galar Pokemon, we actually also picked up Galarian Yamask. This one is actually an interesting Pokemon. It's a good spin blocker, very, very solid natural bulk with that hat, 85 defense and 65 speed def. Not the best HP stat in the world, not gonna lie to you, but it's okay. An okay enough physical attack stat that I can run him offensive, but generally speaking it can be really bulky. Wandering Spirit's actually kind of a nice ability because it actually swaps the ability with your opponent as they damage you, so it's actually a very, very smart ability to have. This thing does get Trick Room, so I can definitely work around that. It does also get things like Toxic Spikes, which is also very nice. Entry hazards can be a little bit annoying, especially if you don't really prep against it. And it does get the infamous Willow Hex combination. It does get Memento and stuff like that as well. It does get a lot of cool moves, so I'm really excited to put this little guy into good use, because I like Regularian Mask, but I wanted to try Galarian Mask because the ground typing gives me a Volt Switch immunity, as well as the Volt Absorb on Chinchou, of course. So definitely very, very nice little pickup. So pretty much from here on out, I had everything I wanted, and I still had quite a lot of points left to go, so I didn't necessarily have to pick up much more than this. But given the fact I got so much value out of Galarian Slowpoke, I continued to start picking up. So basically we had the option to pick up to 10 Pokemon. We didn't necessarily have to. I'm just saying if anybody only really picked 8. Yeah, so it was 8 to 10 picks we could do. And 2 coaches actually didn't pick up 10 Pokemon. One of them is actually going to be my week 1 opponent. So definitely interested to see how she handles my rather diverse team. But yeah, nonetheless, the next pick that we decided to pick up is another baby form of a Pokemon I absolutely love. We picked up Pancham. Pancham actually is very, very strong. It has fantastic abilities that Pangoro has: Iron Fist, Mold Breaker, and Scrappy. Scrappy is exceptionally useful on this. Now, it's unfortunately not a Dark type, because it's only a Dark type when it evolves. But nonetheless, Pure Fighting is actually a very interesting typing. Does get a myriad of coverage moves. It gets all the elemental punches. It does actually get quite considerable amount of coverage moves. It gets Gunk Shot and various other things as well to hit the fairy types that might want to try and switch in. Especially with Iron Fist, this thing can punch holes in teams, pun intended. Very, very strong Pokemon. I think this can potentially be one of the better breakers on this team. Again, much like Kufa, I know it's not the fastest thing in the world, but we're okay with that. It can survive a hit generally relatively well because it's got decent natural walk. So I'm definitely excited to put this little guy into good use. I think it's going to be a big, big threat. Next up on the team is going to be a normal type, because I didn't draft one yet. It's actually going to be Cantonian Meowth. Cantonian Meowth, pretty interesting little Pokemon. I've used it before. It's typically known for Technician Fake Out, which is basically what you normally see from Meowth and Little Cup. I'm just seeing if there was any other set that was mostly known for. Yeah, it's pretty much known for its mixed sets, running a lot of its coverage moves. Being normal type, it does actually learn a surprisingly wide amount of moves. I can definitely run a lot of different things on it. I've seen a lot of people run like Water Pulse and stuff like that. So yeah, expect some rather funky stuff from this. Fake Out sets are pretty much the norm, but I can't wait to give this little guy a go. I've not actually used that much of Meowth in actual tournament play. I've kind of used Meowth a little bit on ladder to supplement a couple of other mons that I've had. Meowth generally serves well on Hyper Offense, mostly because of its speed tier. So yeah, really excited for this little guy. Definitely a nice pickup, especially as I had plenty of points left from my other picks. Speaking of having plenty of points left, we didn't have a Dark type or a Poison type left. So I picked up Stunky as my 10th Pokemon. Again, another really fast Pokemon, decent attack stat as well. This thing is nice. It's another Defogger that is not weak to rocks, does get toxic as well, and stuff like that. Very, very cool little Pokemon. Does hit pretty hard, does get coverage moves as well, and things like Flamethrower. Does get Sucker Punch. So, get some really, really interesting little bits of tech. I can't wait to actually put this team into good use. I think I've drafted a surprisingly well-rounded team out of 10 Pokemon. I've covered a hell of a lot of types, and even the types that I don't have on this team, I have coverage for in plenty of places. So I think this is pretty well-rounded. I think for Little Cup, this is probably one of the better drafts I've done. I've only drafted in a couple of Little Cup leagues. I feel like this is probably one of the best ones. If I don't win this league, so be it. It's all good fun anyway. I'm excited to be back. I hope you guys are excited for this too. I'll let you know. Well, the match will go up soon. These matches are best of 3, so I don't know if I'll post-commentate them or I'll do all 3 of them live. I think I might just do all 3 of them live anyway for the fun of it. But yeah, either way, that's going to be the breakdown. I hope you guys are excited as I am. But either way, I'm going to get on out of it, so thank you so much for watching. My name is Royal Bomby Teacher. I'm your coach of the Royal Bomber from Bombies. Stay safe, stay awesome, and I'll catch you guys next time. Take care.